Joining us now in the studio is Conservative peer Lord Bailey. Good to see you this morning.
Morning.
What do you make of Labour axing this Green pledge? Because it's pretty remarkable this morning, even The Guardian calling it the most controversial of U-turns. Then we've seen Momentum and Unite, Labour's biggest union backers, heavily critical as well. I mean, with this, they might not have alienated, but also angered the traditional voter base.
I think there's two ways to look at this. Firstly, it's actually good politics because it is rubbish policy. We simply cannot pay for it. And actually, somebody in the Labour camp has said, look, let's be real here. We cannot charge the British public with this. So it was probably the right thing to do, I would argue. The political optics of it is showing you Keir Starmer's biggest problem. He has built a coalition of disgruntled groups, and it will be impossible to keep all of them happy. And this is just a very big example for where it's going to go wrong, because there's a number of groups who've hitched their wagon to his trailer because he said we're going to do all this green stuff, and he's upset them. There'll be a number of people who have to do around childcare. He'll upset them as well. And what he's finding is when you're in opposition years and months out from an election, life is easy. You can pledge what you want, you can say what you want, but people, as you get closer to elections, start to ask detailed questions, and he's preparing himself to answer those questions, which is grown-up politics, but it's also difficult politics.
What about the argument, though, that he didn't have a choice about scaling back this because the Conservatives, say many, say some, lots of views on this, controversial, Conservatives have trashed the economy. So, therefore, it was the sensible, pragmatic thing to do.
Look, he made these pledges when he knew the state of the economy, so that simply isn't true. And actually, the biggest thing that's affected our economy was lockdown. And he was a massive fan of lockdowns. He wanted to do more of them, and he wanted to do them for longer. So he can't really hide behind that. Having said that, the optics will work for him. He will be able to blame the Tories for almost anything. But what he has to be careful, he's using up that goodwill. And this is taking a big chunk out of it was the Tories' fault. Because ultimately, he has said to people, vote for me because this is what I'm going to do. He's no longer going to do it, so they may no longer vote for him.
So how are the Tories going to capitalise on this? I mean, I know Rishi Sunak thinks it's more flip-flopping, isn't it? And they've got no plan. That's what his claim is. And, you know, this is good for Rishi Sunak because he's had a pretty horrible week, let's face it.
His week could have been better.
Understatement.
And look, let's be fair. If you're one of the number 10 strategists, you feel like you've forced this on the Labour Party because you've set a rhetoric going that they have no plan and this is unaffordable, and Labour have had to react. And they've reacted by putting down arguably their flashiest policy. And Labour have wooed a lot of young people. Labour have been able to move a lot of the left-wing vote into their stable with this set of policies, and to remove them is a fairly big win for the Conservatives. But I will say this, 2 points out of a 22-point lead is not enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly going to shift the polls.
If you're Starmer, you'll be feeling a little bit bad about this, but you'll look at the poll and think, well, I'm still 20 points ahead. Don't worry about it. But the big worry is what next. If I was running the Conservative campaign, I'd be saying, OK, we've picked off that. Which are we going to pick off next? Because a problem Labour have had, they've made a lot of big funding spends. They've said, we'll do this, we'll do that. And what we all know is they cannot charge the British public anymore. We will not pay any more tax. If tax goes up, there'll be problems.
Lord Bailey, whilst we have you, wanted to ask you about Rishi Sunak, who's so far not apologised to Brianna Ghey's family for the trans jibe, as it's being described, at PMQs on Wednesday. Is he right not to apologise?
One of the major tactics that the left do... Look, if you're in politics, here's how it goes. People on the right think people on the left's politics is wrong. People on the left always try to make people on the right look evil. And Rishi Sunak stamped on a rake. He walked straight into that. Because to make that joke on any other week may have well worked, because Keir Starmer could not identify a woman for people, which for most ordinary people is utterly ridiculous. But unfortunately, there is a family who suffered the most horrific type of bereavement. And Keir Starmer has been able to manoeuvre them onto the political stage and use that against the PM. So a casual observer would say they're both in the wrong. One has made a joke that was particularly maybe could be seen as crash, and one of them has been able to make it political. But if I was running Rishi's situation, I'd say if you apologise, the pain will still be there. And you said something about Keir Starmer. You never referred to the family or that child. If I was on Keir Starmer's side, I'd say keep punching that bruise, because most people, you know, who have children, cousins, friends who are young, will be feeling slightly awkward about what has gone on. So I think never the twain will meet.
So is that, come on, you're straddling both sides here. Is that a yes or a no, Lord Bailey, about whether Rishi Sunak should come out and apologise?
Who is Keir Starmer to make Rishi apologise? As far as Rishi, I'd never apologise to Starmer. And if anybody now is shouting...
No, but should he apologise to Brianna Ghey's family, to her mother who was there?
Me personally, I'd go and see the mother. I would take the time and go and see the mother, but I would not apologise, because he never said anything about it. He talked to Keir Starmer about Keir Starmer's actions. He didn't comment on the family and the very horrific situation is. And the reason why, because if you apologise for this, every word the PM utters, the left will be able to find some reason for him to apologise. And what they're trying to do is frame the PM as a bad man. And I personally, if I was a PM, would not allow that to happen.
Do you think that Keir Starmer politicised that joke where it didn't need to be, or do you think it was valid?
100% he politicised it. But he was given the ammo. I'd love to say to you that Rishi didn't give him the ammo, but he did. And Rishi knows if there's one thing about the Labour Party, they campaign aggressively, and the left-wing press do personal attacks on a level that the rest of the world cannot compete with.
The right-wing press are quite good at doing attacks as well.
Yeah, they are quite good, but the left-wing press are superb. They're superb. It is their stock and trade. I mean, just ask J.K. Rowling, she'll tell you.
Interesting.
Lord Bailey, thank you very
so much
indeed.
What I noticed as well, actually, wasn't just that, Ellie, was that there was a number of MPs who were reacting to it and having this very discussion, and they couldn't get the surname correct of the family, and they kept saying Brianna Ghey, and it's Brianna Ghey, and I found that very disrespectful when you're talking about a family going through so much, girl who was murdered, and you cannot even say her name correctly, her surname.
No, very, very uncomfortable.